All right. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Tyler Key. I'm a member of the e-construction team. I'll be presenting most of the information for this e-ticketing training this afternoon. On the call with me from our team is also uh, Jeff, who you all probably already know from previous training sessions and from previous years at inspectors conferences, as well as Connor McMacken, who is on the call, who will be monitoring the chat, and those guys can also help answer any questions that might come through in the chat. Um, Before we do get started, I want to say that I do have a son who's just over 2 who is sick all the time, so I'm currently operating at about 75% like we always do. So if I need to take a break, um, Jeff or Connor will be able to take over for me. Um, so again, thank you all for joining today. E-ticketing, it's been going on for a couple years here, but this year it's gonna start being mandatory on our plant mix asphalt projects, and that is through special provision 140-00. Um, so 130-00 was previously um, put out, and that was to make it an option for projects to utilize e-ticketing. And 140 is making it mandatory for 2026 plant mix asphalt projects. So most of you on this call um, probably will have some of those projects this year. And if you have any questions throughout your project's life cycle, this is the team that'll be able to assist you. Um, I want to start it out by saying basically how users are going to be able to access the eDOT, the e-ticketing app. If you've used it in the past on other projects in previous seasons, you'll already have access and may be familiar with it. But for those who will be using it for the first time, um, it has an integration with AWP. So users will be using the e-ticketing application out in the field and on the construction projects and on the plant mix projects will need to make sure that they're in AWP and assigned to the project in AWP. The integration with AWP automatically brings over the scheduled projects into Haul Hub, which is the e-ticketing software system. And when it does that, it also brings over the project team. So if you're assigned to the project in AWP, you're already going to be added in Haul Hub and have access to the project within the application. This is a past EBB post that we put out. It's got some QR codes and information on how to do that if you need to. So with that being said, we'll kind of hop into the training. Hopefully most of you guys have this application already installed on your tablets or your phones, but we'll be using the eDOT Inspector app, which is this purple app here. What I'll do first is log out of the application and show you guys what it's going to look like when you first click on it. So once you click on the application, we've connected the app with single sign-on. So VDOT users and consultants who will be using their COV accounts, so their VDOT accounts, to access the project are going to use this sign in with SSO option on the bottom. We're going to hit the arrow and select our VDOT sign in. It's going to prompt you through our normal kind of Okta process. And if you do already have the application and have had projects in the past, please feel free to follow along during this training. If you don't have any projects that have already occurred in the application, if you'd like to follow along, we can add you to our sandbox project if you aren't already. So if you'd like to, in the chat, you can write your name and we'll try to get you added to that project. That way you guys can follow along. All right, we're going to go through our Google Authenticator since we're not supposed to be using the text any longer. So I'm going to enter that information. It should move pretty quickly. All right. So when you sign in automatically, it's going to take you to this today page. As you guys know, it's January 21st, 25 degrees with a projection of a foot of snow for most of us in the state of Virginia this weekend. So we don't have any tickets on today's page currently. But I'll go ahead and show you some of the navigation throughout this page. You can see on the bottom, you've got our Today tab, which we're on, our Online, which toggles on between offline mode and online mode. You have My Projects, which since I'm an admin within this application, I'm going to have all the projects throughout the state available. You guys will just be able to see the projects that you're assigned to there. You've got a couple buttons here at the top. That's going to be your yesterday button. That's going to be your night job button. So if you have any tickets going throughout the night, last 4 hours, last 8 hours, you can do a custom time range if you have a specific time you want to look for tickets. And this last briefcase is all of your projects. So the same as the tab on the bottom right. Let's see here. So since I don't have any projects on today's tab, we're going to go to the test project. And we're going to go to a recent date where we do have tickets delivered. So January 13th, we had 4 tickets delivered. So when you go to your project, I'll go back first of all. We're going to use the test project, but what you would search for here in this box would be your UPC or any project number. We also have those entered into the system. So for instance, if I did 114, it's going to bring up any of the projects that have those numbers included. And you can see there how these projects are kind of set up with the UPCs chasing the end of the top description there. So for the test project, I'm just going to type test. Going to go to the 13th since we had some active tickets that day. And this is kind of the view that we're going to see on a daily basis. So this is going to show your test project, what project you're in at the top, how many tickets were delivered on that day, and then the rest of this information along the top here is projected through the entire project. Looks like we had a question if somebody wants to go off of mute.
I don't believe we have access to chat functions.
Let's see.
It might be that you need to be logged in a COV account to be accessing the chat, because it looks like some folks are able to use the chat right now, but I think they're all logged in under VDOT credentials.
Yeah, and if you aren't able to access the chat during the training, it's being recorded, and you can always reach out to us at the Econ eConstruction email. Like I said, it does look like it's working for some users there, and hopefully everybody's can hear me clearly. Anybody still have any other questions currently? I see a couple hands raised. All right, we'll keep moving forward. Let's see here. All right, back to the top description. This project information is going to show details throughout the entire project. So the tickets are shown on how many were delivered on the 13th. The photos are how many photos are on the project in general. The documents is the same. So they're not necessarily tied to the 13th, but the ticket amount is. All right. We'll go to the ticketed report. This gives you a couple of simple breakdowns of your daily totals. You can see the total amount of tickets, how many have been marked as delivered, how many are currently pending. As the day moves on and information is input into the system, these reports and these little, I guess, automated dashboard reports will provide you guys some helpful information. You can see here, it provides you round trip times on trucks, so it'll give you a little high-level overview of how long it's taken from load 1 to load 2 with a specific truck. And it'll show you the tonnage of each delivery of each specific truck number. I do see a question real quick in the chat about the access through AWP. To be added to AWP, you will need to have a SARE request put in. It would be for AWP construction. And let's see. It would be for AWP construction, and that'll give you access to be added to the Okta group for the e-ticketing. I see somebody asking real quick, are you sharing your screen? I think that everybody else can see my screen. Is that the case, Jeff?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. So back onto the tickets for the day. We've got load 1, load 2, load 3, and we can see some delivered tickets in here. We've got specific raw ticket data information as you click into each ticket. This comes directly from the plant and from the supplier. So this is them inputting information on the truck number, the hauler, what product they're hauling, what load number it is, and the total amount of tons that they'll be hauling. Weights will give you a breakdown of that net weight and the tare weight of the truck. And the reconciliation has to do with the pay coding, which we'll show you as we move on throughout the process. All right, so we're going to go back. So typically in the field, when a load shows up, an inspector is going to be able to mark the load as delivered, if that's the only thing that's needed to be done. Take notes. So this is going to be how right now, currently, with paper tickets, we would note truck temperature, mat temperature, any specific information you guys want to, we would note it on the ticket. Here we're going to note it within the inspector notes option. So for instance here, if I wanted to add the temperature of the truck at 300 degrees, update, that's now going to update within the inspector ticket. You can see 300 degrees now on the right there. I'll go to the more actions to show you what else is available. If you have a load that needs to just be automatically be marked as rejected, we have a mark rejected option. That's going to be for loads you guys know that may be contaminated, or a truck that's just had too long of a haul time, the mix is too cold. Any issues that you might have out in the field, that's how you're going to denote that the truck was rejected and the load was not placed. But if you look good here, if everything looks good out in the field and you want to mark the ticket as delivered, you hit mark as delivered. It's going to bring up these pay items, and because this is the test project and we've had a little bit of action in here, it'll have recent pay items. On you guys' projects, like I mentioned previously with the integration, when it brings over the project from AWP, it also brings over the specific, the contract items. So it's only going to give you items that are on your contract within AWP. So for most of the plant mixes, you're only going to be utilizing a couple different pay item codes right here. And the good thing is, if you have a project delivering just IM, surface mix, base, it'll be easy to select that option for each ticket that comes through. Now, these fields aren't required, but it is something that you guys will figure out is going to be very helpful for you guys to do as you're marking these as delivered. It'll give you a little bit more insight, and it'll provide you something to reference when running your estimates at the end of the month. The more information you put into this app, the more that it can provide assistance for you. So for this ticket here, I'll keep moving forward. I'm just going to pick warm mix. If for some reason the pay item wasn't in there, we'll hit search items. You can search all the pay codes that have been uploaded within your project right there through search items. So I'm going to pick warm mix again. It gives you the option to just use net, which is going to take the automatic total of the 24.13 tons. So we hit that, and we're going to confirm delivery. You'll get a little notification, success, the slip has been delivered. All right, and you can now see that load 1 has been switched to delivered. Now, if you want to filter your home screen here or on your tablet or on your phone to where the delivered loads disappear and it's just showing you pending loads, you can go to your status button, which is this gray button right now because it's not chosen. I'm going to select that status button and I'm going to hit pending. I'm going to click off of that and it's only going to show you the pending tickets. So you can see that that load 1 is no longer an option and it automatically jumped down to load 2. So that's going to give you kind of a live running of when trucks are arriving on site and backing up to the paver to help you keep track. All right, I'll go back into a ticket real quick just to show you a couple more examples of what you can do. I'm going to do more actions and go back to the inspector's notes. I want to note that the waste option in here is going to be where we mark tickets, kind of final loads of the day and asphalt that is not used on a project. So when that last truck shows up and you say you've estimated you have 10 tons that weren't used and shipped back to the plant, that's where you're going to note your waste. If you enter it in that category there, it'll show up here on the ticket as waste, but it'll also show up in summary reports later on when you are reconciling against your estimate. It'll show do not pay for that waste. Some people in the past have used rejected as the option for that, but the waste option is really the I guess more correct option because if we're placing asphalt and I'm sorry, I'm thinking of another example right now. But yeah, the waste option would be what you would use for the end of the day mix because we didn't reject the full load. We only want to pay for a portion of it. So when you do reject a load and you go into the more actions, if you do hit rejected, it only gives you the option to reject the entire amount. So let's just say ship back to plant. If I said that, it's going to take the entire amount on this ticket and use it as rejected instead of being able to just bring out the 5 tons or the 10 tons that we'd like to. So the waste category in notes is going to be how we run the end of the shift for material that was shipped out to the job but not used. All right. I'll show you real quick another filter on here, materials. It's going to show you which materials were delivered for the day. So on your project, if you had multiple different types of materials, you can filter if you just want to see one type of material versus the other. So all these filters are to kind of help you find your way through the project. I'd say on a typical paving schedule, you're going to have mostly throughout a day, one type of mix running, and you'll probably just be able to leave it just like this and just run your way through the day, marking your tickets as delivered, and coding that singular pay item to those tickets. Let's see. Got a question in the chat about the lot numbers, and I'll show you that real quick. You can see here on the, let's see, about mid-screen, ticketed lot number is one of the information on the raw ticket data. In order to move forward with the e-ticketing, the FHWA made it a requirement to have this as an option on the tickets. We have communicated with the suppliers and the plants that this option should be used in the future and moving forward for those companies to put the lot numbers for the tickets. But as the 2026, this paving season moves on, with the first one being mandatory, we're not going to reject any loads or turn down any asphalt based on that information not being put in the ticketed lot field. It's more of a learning curve season to get them used to that field. And like I said, it was a requirement for the FHWA when we initiated this e-ticketing. All right. I'm going to go back to the main screen right here for the day. I'm going to show you this report issue. So Haul Hub offers a service from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. A customer service line that will answer any questions that come through this issue reporting feature. So not only will it go to Haul Hub, it's going to go directly to the plant and the supplier too. So if you have any issues out in the field with loads or with ticket issues, this is a great way to get to the plant directly and make note of what you're seeing out in the field. You can see once you clicked on it, you've got a couple options to select an issue. If you're starting to realize that you have missing tickets, trucks showing up where you just haven't seen a ticket, would be a great reason to put it on there. But also if there's just any issues with the application in general, Haul Hub will be able to get in there and troubleshoot and see if there's any bug issues. Contact me is where you want to put your phone number, because if you are working a night shift, as I said previously, 8 p.m. is the latest hours that Haul Hub works. So if you contact me and put your phone number, maybe a representative from the plant and supplier can reach out to you, and you guys can try to correct the issue at night and while the operation's going. All right. We're going to move forward and talk about the next feature right to the right of report issue, which is the offline mode. So as you guys know, some of our districts have service better than others. So for any projects that are shipping in locations where there might not be any cellular service or internet, as the project is ongoing throughout the day and the inspector realizes that tickets aren't coming through, that's when we'll need to notify the contractor to start supplying those paper tickets again. And I'll show you why here. Within the app, you can see an airplane mode button up to my left here, top left, airplane right near the back. I'm going to put it into airplane mode now. All right, so now we're offline. And what we're going to do is go into offline mode. And here is where you are manually going to enter the last 4 digits of the paper tickets that are coming in the field. So if you receive a point on a project where the tickets aren't coming in and the contractor starts to bring out the paper tickets, we're going to be referencing the paper tickets, grabbing those last 4 digits, and inputting that information. So we'll enter the last 4 ticket numbers. We can still put our same notes that you would on a live project. Going to change the status to pending, delivered, rejected, and we're going to create the ticket. So what this does is this is creating a offline version of that ticket so that when you do turn airplane mode back off and you do have connection, the ticket's automatically going to sync with the information that you input manually. So when those tickets at the end of the day, when you get Wi-Fi service in the office or at home come through, it's going to connect all those manual tickets that you entered with the tickets pushed from the plant, and all that information you entered is going to be saved, and you can continue on just like you would if you had regular cellular data and cellular service out there. So if that's something you guys see on a project, you know, if you get out there and you realize, wow, the service is terrible out here, just let your superintendent know or your contractor that, hey, can you please plan on sending paper tickets to start out with, especially if you aren't sure if you're going to have great service. So that's a good way to cover you on that.
Hey, Tyler, real quick. I would say projects should plan on starting with paper tickets just at the same time as still using the e-ticketing portal. You know, and then as the project goes along, if the project team is comfortable that they're receiving everything in the portal and their service at all the locations they're paving, then they can say, hey, we're good, we don't need paper tickets. But really up to the project team if and when you guys want to stop receiving paper tickets.
Thank you, Jeff, for that. Go into the comments real quick. Where do we get the EDOT app? That's just through the App Store. What happens if a weighmaster makes a mistake? That would be a issue where you work with the plant. You can report an issue, and the ticket can be voided from the supplier or the plant, and that will show up. I'll show you later in your voided options. All right. I've got one request to go back to the notes section one more time, so I'm going to do that on the tablet on the ticket just to help you guys see one more time what it's going to look like. And this is going to look similar on your phone too if you're used to using your applications on your phone versus carrying your tablet around with the paving train. So let me show you this. All right. You can get to it a couple different ways. You've got more actions, edit inspector notes. You can put down any information you'd like. Lane, direction of travel, width of the roadway, temperature, any of that standard information is going to live in the inspector notes portion of the app. And the unused quantity would be here. Do not pay. Let's say on this load, when you code the item, you'll then come down, hit the do not pay option. If I wanted to do not pay 10 tons, I'm going to pay for 3.1 tons. and do not pay for 10 tons. So that is how you're going to denote how much you wanted to not include in payment at the end of the shift if you have a partial load. All right. Keep moving through here. So we touched on the reporting issue and the offline mode. One more thing I wanted to show you here in the top right corner where it's got the little symbol of the person. That's going to show you your project team. So that's a quick way online to view who's all added to the project and who is active on the project. Do we have any questions right now on this mobile application of this? Feel free to raise your hand. I'll take you off of mute. All right. So the application is really user-friendly once you get the hang of it. Like I said, this test project has multiple types of material included on it. So on a paving schedule, it's going to be simplified and make it a little bit easier to look at. I didn't really touch on the photos. I'll show you that real quick with the pending load. All right, so you can attach photos directly to a specific ticket. So if you did have a rejected load and you wanted to put a photo of the truck for the reason that it was rejected, you know, if the mix was contaminated or if the sign was falling off the truck and you've told them 10 times to not come back, you know, any issues that would cause you to reject the load, you can tag a photo right here to the ticket. Specifically, you take a photo and select a picture that was previously taken. All right. So real quick, I'm going to switch over to the web portal of the application. Can you all see my screen? All right, I think it's working. You should be able to see the Econ portal homepage if you can't. All right, cool. All right, so if you've used the app in the past, you might already have it as a favorite on your bar. I've got it favorited. Just as the EDOT ticketing portal. But if not, we've got you covered at the Econ portal. So you're going to go to the Econ portal, Launchpad, eTicketing portal. That's going to load in. If you're already logged in on your computer to the network, it's going to automatically download and open up through single sign-on. Let's see here if this thing fires up for us. Sometimes the internet in our new office here is a bit laggy, so let's hope that it's feeling good today. All right. So this screen here is not what you'll typically see. This is the admin portal where it's showing us all the projects throughout the state. We're going to go to the ops portal. And this is going to show you your projects that you have been added to and have worked on in the past. It automatically organizes them by when they were last active. So you can see the test project 6 minutes ago is active. And these other projects, which are actual paving projects, have been non-active for a while now, again, because of the weather and the paving season. So within here, we're going to go back to the test project. And this is going to be our screen that you're going to see from the test project and from your project. Again, you're going to be able to see your team in the right corner here. Your contract's going to have all your pay items. In our cases, it's going to be those relevant pay items directly from your contract in AWP. So you're only going to see real items and real estimated quantities. Contractors will be pulled over from AWP. And this home screen is kind of where you would live online on your web version. It's going to give you a breakdown of your tickets, what was flagged, which you can flag any ticket to help you find it easier. Rejected, that's going to be those loads that we were talking about previously. Voided is the category from the plant that was asked about earlier. That's where if a plant put in an incorrect quantity on a weigh ticket or sent a ticket to your project that should have been in on the other project, they would just void the ticket. Pending is the status when they're shipped to the project. Delivered is going to be after you make your notes and change the status. All right. We'll go into those pending tickets. And it looks like Haul Hub has just pushed a couple tickets through us now. So click on the date that you'd like. I'll start out with just the date. So you've got, well, the basic view is just the date here, but you have all these other options too to help configure how you want this view to look. I think a helpful breakdown is going to be your product description. That's if you were hauling multiple different products, materials on one day. And then your status. It can catch up to me. It's thinking. There we go. So what these are doing here, this is kind of adding waterfall effect. So you can break it down. On the 21st, we only had one type of material sent. Looks like all these days are one type. Let's go one more. Here we go. On the 4th, you had 4 different types of materials sent. So you can break it down if you had multiple types of materials sent, and then also the status. You can see it kind of funnels it down to help you narrow down to your specific ticket you're looking for. Take that off real quick. All right, we'll just go back to today. We're going to go into a specific ticket. And you're kind of going to see the same information that you saw on the mobile side. It's going to give you that raw ticket data here coming from the plant, the material type, the load. I think somebody asked earlier in the chat about the mix design. That information is going to be included on this raw ticket data. That way you're making sure you get the correct mix design and the approved mix design on a project. We're going to go to those same notes we discussed. Edit inspector notes. So you can enter information the same. And save. So if for some reason your mobile device wasn't working for you, or you had issues, you could also log this information through the web portal. The web portal is probably a little better way to do your reporting and your summaries at the end of the day. But during the day, the mobile version on your tablet and your phone is going to be how you're kind of working with the paving operation. All right, you can do the same thing here, mark as delivered. Let's see, hopefully the internet will decide to wake up. All right. So that same information that you'll see on the tickets is going to mirror the the mobile portion of the application. I'll go into a ticket again just so you guys can see that. See your status here. Pending. Currently, these are all pending. They just came in. They haven't been marked as delivered or changed over, so that's his current status. Like I said, if you wanted to only see tickets that were delivered, you can change your status from or your options from each of these. So if I just want to show delivered, it's going to jump to the last day that tickets were marked as delivered, which was the 13th, which is what we were doing earlier. So we're going to change that back to pending. All right. So the ticket information is kind of the same there that you'll see. The next thing I want to touch on real quick is the reporting features and the capabilities. So all, like I said earlier, all the information you put into the ticket can be recorded and included in a report. So you've got 3 different types of report options here. You have your delivery report, which is going to be helpful for your daily delivery of product. Let's see, we got a couple of hands raising in the chat real quick. Let me open that up. I'll take you off of mute for a second. Malachi, do you have a question?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, sorry. And I think I saw Tyler Hoy. Did you have a question? That's all right. If, like I said, if anybody has any questions on this, they can always reach out. Looks like Jeff has answered some in the chat as well. You guys can always reach out to the eConstruction email or the Econ help desk, and we can help you work through this process.
Real quick,
So
Tyler, Jeff.
Yep.
Like you said, I know Jeff's been trying to answer all the questions in the chat. There are a few in that Q&A section on this meeting as well. Just a heads up.
Jeff said he would try to get to those. So going back to the reports real quickly, you've got that daily delivery report, which is going to be helpful for your daily product. So the Excel sheets that we currently fill out, with each ticket load to help summarize and compare to your TL102. If you're inputting your ticket information correctly and marking as delivered and pay coded, it's going to give you a report that does the same exact thing as that Excel sheet. So it's going to save you time from manual entry and going through your tickets. So the daily report, the delivery report again is helpful with the daily deliveries. You can choose, I'll do create report real quick. You can choose an automatic report, so it's going to, it will automatically send an email to whoever you'd like at a certain time. So if an ACM or lead inspector wanted a breakdown of the previous day's tickets, you could set it up for 7 a.m. And start the start and end time of the tickets to be sent and the information, so you can break it down there. Like I said, this will send an email. The manual report will allow you to download a PDF immediately. So if you were to choose the date, your start and end time, and hit download, it's going to give you a summary report of your tickets and the status of them. So it'll have all your rejected, your waste, do not pay, all of your information that was recorded on the tickets on that. The second type of report is your finals report. It's a little bit more detailed. You can break down by your supplier, by day, by the material type, or by all three categories. So if you wanted to dig in and find a specific day where you may have had issues in the field, or something comes up when you're doing a punch list at the end of the project and you want to go back and find some specific information, this could help you out with that because you can sort by day and time. And then your reconciliation report. I think this is going to be most helpful during estimate time. You can do by day, which is going to allow you to select that exact estimate time whenever your project is running on. So you can pick your start date of estimate 1 to your end date of estimate 1, and you can download all of the tickets that have been coded and marked in either Excel or PDF format. That's going to be emailed to you, and you can compare that report with your AWP estimate to make sure that your items are jiving. So these reports can be really helpful when it comes to estimate time or when you need to dig in to find specific ticket information. All right. Next thing I'll touch on real quick is the map view. A couple different ways to get to the map. You can see at the top, we have view map. Also down here on the bottom, you've got your map as an option. We're going to go to view map. And for this project, you can see a little breakdown of all your tickets. And it's going to give you a screenshot of where these were geolocated. This looks like the old annex building downtown in Richmond, where a couple tickets were generated. So you can kind of give a high overlevel view of your project, which could be really helpful on your schedule projects, because if you're paving, say, a subdivision, or just multiple routes throughout the district or counties, you can quickly choose that route from the map, and if the ticket was marked as delivered near that location, you'll be able to find the ticket and help you kind of solve any issues that you might have out there. Let's see, I can show you a real example real quick. We'll go to just this project, an actual project. Go to view map. You can kind of see here, when the tickets are marked in the field around the paving train, it'll kind of paint a picture of where the loads were used throughout the schedule. And you can click in and get specific information on all of that. So that's a kind of a quick overview of the map. See, I'll go back and show you real quick within the test project. One more time, this is where you're going to find your contract items. in the web view. That's going to be coming all directly from AWP. That dashboard main page is going to be where you would pretty much live on the web. Your photos from your project will all be included here. So any photos that are tagged on tickets, we're going to end up in this photo bin right here. PlanGrid and Procore are still going to be where you guys are doing most of your images. But for those specific things out in the field that you really want to note and tie it to a ticket, like if you were seeing, I know I was on a project one time where a lot of small pieces of metal from the plant kept making it out in the loads of the trucks. So as we're getting paved, we were taking pictures, and if this application was there, we could have tied those pictures directly to the ticket to show, the issues that we were seeing out in the field. All right. So this option here, I'll show this quickly. So the application will automatically generate a summary report. Do note that it's AI generated. It can make mistakes, and we still need to back check this information. But it does gather all the information from the tickets from a day, and it will print you kind of a simplified report of information that was included on those tickets. So it'll give you total tons delivered, rejected. It'll give you a breakdown of how you treated all those tickets. It'll give you a first load time and a last load time. Like I said, on this day, we just clicked in. The tickets haven't been marked yet. But you could see where if you included that information on the tickets, all this information would be printed out for you kind of in a clean way. The average time between loads is pretty neat. I showed that in the mobile feature, but it'll actually, take the individual truck numbers and tie them together, and it'll give you kind of a average round trip time for a load. So, if you're having issues out on a project where the mix is cold, and you can come back to here and see, wow, it took an hour and a half, for turnaround time on a project for trucks. So it can kind of help troubleshoot issues in the field. And like I said, it paints a little summary option for what happened out there. It also gives you this little narrative here as well. All right, I'm going to pause there and see if we have any more questions on the web portion. All right, I'm not seeing any hand raised. Jeff, Connor, do you guys have anything to add?
There's some in the chat, but I've been able to answer most of them. One thing can you go back to the home screen project overviews where you see all projects? So in the top right, that little filter icon, it's automatically set up to only show active projects in constructions, but you can see there's bid status, completed, and archived. If something is in bid and you're waiting for it, you can manually go in there and change it from bid to construction, or once the tickets are sent through the portal, it is automatically changed from bid to construction. But that filter is set off to automatically just show active projects to kind of make it a little bit easier to activate or to navigate. But you can see, yeah, he could manually start those projects if needed.
Yeah, and if you guys have, your projects kicking off and you log into your portal and you can't see that information, please reach out to us and we can help troubleshoot that with Haul Hub. But hopefully the integration with AWP, as these projects are auto-generated, these projects should just be waiting for you and your project team when they do start. I'll go ahead and note, you can see a couple projects on here aren't scheduled projects. So with that special provision of 130 where it's optional, Projects can request e-ticketing for aggregate, concrete materials that are delivered on projects. If they'd like to kind of take part in, not really a pilot yet, but if they'd like to just try it out on their projects, as you can see, the more you use this application, it can be really helpful for your material tracking, and it really does save a lot of paper out in the field. You know, I know all of you have been on projects carrying a notebook around with 200 tickets sometimes. It's very easy to lose those and keep them organized and so that you can read your writing. So if you're logging this information in through the application, it's going to make it so much easier for you to go back to your computer at the end of the day, run these summary reports, and just gather all that information that you took while you were out in the field. So with that, I don't have any other information on the application itself. I'll open it up for questions one more time. Just raise your hand if you'd like to have a question or continue to ask questions in the chat. We can hang around for a little bit longer as people are logging off if somebody wants to ask a question after the meeting. But like I said, this will be mandatory on those 2026 plant mix projects. I know it's a little cold now, but if the weather breaks, we might start seeing some action or some patching coming out on those projects here in February and March, and I'm sure we'll be getting busy around then. So feel free to, like I said, reach out to us if you want to be added to the test project. We can add you in there. I can see our numbers already went up from 69 to 78. So if you want to get into the application, mess around with it, and get more familiar with the features, please reach out to us. We'll add you to the project, and we're always here to help. So with that, I really appreciate you all being here. This training is going to be recorded, and it will be posted on the Econ portal in our e-ticketing resources if you'd like to go back and listen and watch. So again, thank you for your time, and I hope you all have a great day.
Got a question real quick from Arthur Moore. So you say we normally sign the paper tickets. So when you mark it as delivered, that records your signature. You're signed in as a user. I think when you first use the application, you're asked to input a signature. It automatically kind of screenshots that onto every ticket, but it also, more importantly, it logs. It's auditable and it logs the user that marked it as delivered, which is helpful since, a lot of folks aren't going to have the most legible signatures out in the field. It also automatically records the dump time, and then you are prompted to record the asphalt temperature when you mark it as delivered. And then I think Danielle mentioned earlier, there's a lot of fields to fill out in there. You have the ability to fill out all those fields, but asphalt temperature is one of those that's automatically prompted. Tyler, do you see Jennifer's question?
Yeah, I don't, those summary sheets from Excel that I'm familiar with, they're probably still the same ones that were used on projects. I don't believe they had a form name or anything that I know of. I know it was just a template that was passed down. So the summary sheets should cover those Excel documents that usually, just have your load count, your quantity, and then your total at the bottom. So the summary sheet is going to provide that same information. You can see in the test project or when you get one, when you go to a delivery port, kind of how that breaks down that information. I can quickly, let's see if I can bring a quick little screenshot of a summary report. All right, so this is kind of a delivery report. Like I said, this has 3 different types of material on it. If you're on the paving schedule and you're just putting surface down, you're just going to have that one surface mix here. You're going to have your breakdown, rejected loads, waste, and you can see it tracks each ticket number and the paid quantity on the right. So pretty much this gives you more information than that's on those Excel sheets and a little bit more detailed, and it's auto generated for you. So hopefully that'll be helpful.
Couple other questions. So Tyler Kraus asked, what materials will this cover and will it be implemented on design build projects? So right now it is mandatory for plant mix asphalt on schedule, paving, resurfacing projects, whatever you want to call them. We have about 8 different names here for them here at VDOT. So that's the only ones that's mandatory for. It can be used on other types of projects and for other materials, but that has to be, the contractor actually has the ability to decide that they're going to do it. If the VDOT project team wants to do it, they can talk to us, talk to their contractor supplier, and get them on there for their projects. We're definitely looking for more people to expand into aggregate and concrete. So we'll do what we can to help you on board with those. But right now it's only mandatory for plant mix asphalt on schedule paving projects. And then in regards to tickets arriving out of order because drivers make a pit stop for food or something, kind of made a joke about it in the chat, but just wanted to reassure, like, this isn't really our problem, provided they're still arriving on time, 90 minutes for concrete, still within temp and application times for asphalt. If the contractor wants to hammer their trucking company because they keep stopping at Bojangles or Wawa on their round trips, that's their issue, that's their subcontractor. It is I believe in the AI overview that automatically wraps up, it automatically calculates the round trip time. So if you thought that there was one truck that was consistently taking longer, if I were the contractor, which has free access to the portal through us, I'd be going in there and tracking them that way. But again, that's their issue. Scott, correct, is not required for aggregate and plant mix contracts.
Just hot mix asphalt.
Yep. Donald, how is there guidance for interacting with the test project stuff to test, anything not to? I don't think there's anything that you can really break in there. If you do, we'll yell at Sean, who's our Hall Hub person on this call. But I don't think there's anything in there that you can break. That's the whole point of having a demo project. Honestly, I would go through and practice what you would do in the field, mark a ticket as delivered. You can gather the GPS location too, so then you can kind of look at it on the map if you want, go through, do all that stuff. We automatically loaded some pay codes into the test project. They don't really match up. I did personally input a couple extra VDOT pay codes. It's been months since I did that. I think it was under like surface mix or asphalt, something like that. So you can test that out. You can try out all that stuff. So yeah, I would recommend playing around with it and just kind of going through your normal operations of what you think you'd be doing in an actual project. And I will go back through the chat and add anybody I missed who mentioned needing access to the application or the test project. I tried to keep up during the meeting, but there's a lot of you guys, and I went in alphabetical order. And if folks joined late, then and I was already past them, then I didn't go back and try and collect folks. So I definitely missed some folks. But I'm going to keep this chat open until I get everybody who makes a comment added to the application and the project. So if you make a comment in here, you should be added by the end of the afternoon.
Look, we got a couple people with their hands raised.
Yeah,
Calvin.
do you have a question?
Sure. I'm a consultant, can't see the chat, so somebody may have already addressed this question, but I used Hall Hub last year a little bit, but my question is, I see the summaries, I like the summaries, used them some last year, but none of that information in those summaries, they're just used for us to help get our pay items together. There's nothing being sent back to AWP.
That's correct. Yeah. It's a one-way integration with Hall Hub and AWP, so the information is generated from AWP, but the Hall Hub information does not make its way back to AWP yet. But like I said, those summaries are kind of like you said, really are going to be used as reference data when you want to make sure your quantities are correct versus your entered quantities into AWP.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yep. All right. Abdallah, I'm going to take you off mute. You have a question? All right, now I was going to show. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to be added to the test project. I'm a consultant. I don't have access to the chat, that's why I raised my
Okay.
hand. Thank you.
Gotcha. So you want to be added to the test project?
Yeah,
All right, got it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
And I was going to show you, going back to that real quick, where somebody had asked, if load 3 stopped at Chick-fil-A and load 4 was at the paver before load 3, you would just skip over that on your mobile application. You would leave load 3 kind of lingering in pending status, and then as it was delivered maybe 3 loads later, you would go back and enter that information. So it'll still show that it was shipped from the site before load 4, but when you put your when the place time or time on site is included, it's going to show that it was put down after the fact when you mark it as delivered.
I think there's a couple more questions that came into that Q&A section as well.
Let's see. Any plans to bring the GPS tracking of the loads as you move alongside the paver to the tablet or mobile devices? Are you talking about, Lauren, the tracking from the trucks themselves or just from the inspector's devices? That kind of goes back to, if you have an inspector walking near the paver, and as the trucks are, getting dumped, shooting temperatures and doing the normal due diligence out there, if they mark it as delivered, it's going to geolocate on that map and it's going to give you that location on the ticket for where that load was placed. So that's going to paint that kind of high level overview of that project. If the trucks do not have a ticket on site, how do you check that they are on the right project? So if the tickets are coming through on eTicketing, it's going to give you the hauler name and truck number. So if a truck shows up and it's not included on the eDOT app, on your inspector app, you're going to know that that truck wasn't included, at least for the e-ticketing portion. So that'll kind of be your first bell that goes off. That's where you'll have to maybe talk to the driver, ask when they left the plant and then you can report an issue and start working with the contractor in that way. Will this app ever be used for concrete? All right, Jeff already answered the concrete one. We worked with Haul Hub, and we basically got all the fields from the TL28 included into our app notes. So we do have the fields within the ticket for concrete if the projects that want to use it for concrete can give that a shot. All right, like I said, if there's no more questions right now, we'll hang around for maybe 5 more minutes. But if you don't have any more questions, thank you for your time today. And like I said, reach out to the e-construction inbox or the econ help desk, and we'll be able to answer any questions as you guys are moving through these projects or working in the test project as well. So thank you.
Robert had one more question in the Q&A. Is geo based on truck location or location of the device? And that's going to be the location of the inspector's device when they accept it.
Yeah, there's all sorts of I'm not sure if legal issues is the right word there, but all sorts of ownership legal sort of issues with us trying to put GPS tracking on the trucks. So it's just but we're fine tracking you guys' devices. Don't worry about that. So that's where the GPS tracking comes from, is inspector devices.
Yeah, Haul Hub does have the capabilities to do equipment tracking. We just aren't quite there yet for the reasons Jeff said.
Yeah, to log in to the EDOT, you'll have to use your VDOT COV account. That's going to be, again, if you're in AWP, you'll have to have that COV account. And that's going to use it for single sign-on for the application. So that VDOT email and password is what you'll use. I'll also note, just for the few that are still here, Haul Hub itself does have a lot of helpful videos on their website. They have Haul Hub University, which provides a lot of simplified videos on how to do certain actions within the application. So if you prefer to kind of learn on your own time and just watch a couple videos when you have some slow time, Haul Hub University is a good option. That is treated as a kind of separate website, so you will have to make just your own little user login and password that's separate from your VDOT. But once you're in there, it gives you access, like I said, a lot of pre-recorded videos and trainings on how to use the app.
Yeah, and you can use your VDOT email for that. It's just it's not a single sign-on process. You would just have to create an account. So you could use your VDOT email if you wanted to, but
Yeah, it's just not automatically there for you. You have to create it separately.
yep.